This morning in the first session we were speaking about trusting, and in the next session we were speaking on the same subject, on how to trust Jesus, how to trust God, and how to be obedient and fulfill what He's called us into the world for. Now the Muskegon Choir will sing number 5 on their list of songs. They're getting ready, getting everything lined up. You saw the gentleman come over to shake hands with me. It's Reverend Paul McMurrin that invited me to come to Wilshire, Ohio. And it was through him that we were led directly to Reverend Everett Hogue, right here. You know, his singer canceled, so he went to get Reverend Everett Hogue to lead the singing, and that led us to him and led us to Oliver. Amen. So good to have you coming in from Mississippi. Methodist preacher in Mississippi. By the way, he is the older brother of Roger McMurrin that leads the singing at Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church. You see him about every week. How many see the choir, Coral Ridge Presbyterian Choir, Dr. Kennedy preaching? Don't many of you see him on Sunday? Only a small group. Well, his brother is the choir director. And my baby brother, Edward, was in your brother's choir, you know, in January, February, March, and April. Had a marvelous time with him. He's probably one of the finest choir directors in the world. He's tremendous. I wish you could sit under his leadership. And he's very childlike, but he's really excellent in music. It's really wonderful how God works with him about the things of the Lord and the kingdom of God. So I want you to know that it's his younger brother. I thought that was interesting for you to know this.
Picture yourselves in Jerusalem, and we see a young man, and we're fishing, and the fishing has been different. And he says, "Follow me." And he says it with such authority and with such love and with such a power that we just drop what we're doing and we follow him. And we see him go through the city and everybody's talking about him. And we see him pick up various ones, tax collectors, you name it. And we see him, and we follow this man day in, day out. We see him walk down the street. We see people reach out to him and are healed of hideous diseases. We see lepers. Unclean! They're yelling. And Jesus walks by, and they look down at themselves in amazement with their skin whole. Blind men haven't saw light at all. Suddenly their eyes can see the trees and the grass, those things that they've smelled all their lives, and they see this precious one as he walks away. Who is this man? We're right here with him. He called us. We're thrilled. This is the Messiah. We know it. He's going to set up his kingdom. Now follow me very quickly as we go through time. As we see him come into Jerusalem. And there's thousands of people praising God. As we see our master will come in on a donkey. A young, small ass. He's coming in and people are laying palm branches down, praising God. The whole city's filled with praise and hosannas and glory. And we're right with him. It's wonderful. And 1 week later, we see him after he's agonized in the garden. We were so tired, we just went to sleep. He said, "Pray with me." We went to sleep. And we see him betrayed by one of our own. Betrayed. And we see him dragged. And we see him kicked. And we see him beaten. And we see him spit upon, and we see him laughed at, and we see him mocked. And when we see him, we hardly know who he is. We see his beard plucked out. We see the agony in his face. We see the blood drenched robe. And we see him struggling up the cross, up the hill with a cross. It's too big for him. We see this from afar off. We're scared. Roman soldiers, they look so mean, so hideous. And we see him struggling down this little corridor, and people yelling at him, saying, crucify him, he's no good. Blasphemer. And we see him die. We see him raise him up. And we see him drop his head and say, it is finished. And we're scared to death. And we go to our room and we hang our heads in shame. And we know that it's our turn next.